Going off of the pornography conversation in the last video, and what if it's women doing it and creating it and starring in it and making it quote unquote for women, whatever that means. I just don't understand why the hyperfocus and need for there to be pornographic sexual material to be consumed. It's kind of weird. And the thing is like, women can and do engage in behaviors that are harmful to women as a class, right? Women can and do engage in things like BDSM or violent sex or big age gaps or power play. So when the question is always like, oh, but what if it's a woman? Again, it doesn't matter. And frankly, that is a rather liberal feminist way of thinking when the argument is, yeah, but what if it's a woman doing it? Or what if a woman chooses to do it? We live in a patriarchy, and I deal in reality on reality's terms, not in hypotheticals and what ifs. The reality is that we live in a patriarchy, we live in a world among men, and men are the drivers behind pornographic, explicit sexual content. Men created the concept of pornography. Men created the concept of burlesque, because that was an argument made before. Men drive the creation of industries and content that exploit women. We do not live in a world where men are extinct. There is no reason, in my opinion, to be thinking in hypotheticals when the reality of the world is incredibly misogynistic and dangerous and violating and exploitative to women. We need to focus on fixing reality and dealing with reality on reality's terms before we spend our energy engaging in what ifs and hypotheticals. That what if and hypothetical scenarios is not going to change the reality for women in a patriarchy. It does no one any good. And rather than focusing on, well, what if this, or hypothetically speaking, we need to face reality. The reality of the world is that we live among men, we live in a patriarchy, and men have spent every waking moment coming up with as many exploitative industries to abuse women that they possibly can. I can't put any energy towards hypotheticals when I'm worrying about capitalism and institutionalized misogyny and racism and exploitation. I'm kind of speechless. That people spend so much time and energy saying, well, what if there was porn that was starring women and for women? It cannot exist. It cannot exist in the world that we live in. The only way it can exist is if all men suddenly became extinct, I guess. But even then, if they did suddenly become extinct, the very concept of pornography is a male exploitation idea. So the only reason the idea, the concept of pornography even exists is because of males exploiting women. So even if all men became extinct tomorrow, there is no way to create explicit pornographic material, even if it's only women, and have it be non-exploitative and quote unquote acceptable. It's a total non-question to me, and it's not something that's really worth exploring. And yeah, ironically, I say that, and this is my second video on the topic. But I I just can't. I just can't. There is no world that we live in where explicit pornographic content media of women is acceptable. Further, I didn't say this in my last video, but I meant to. Consent cannot be purchased. Consent cannot be purchased. There cannot be a trade of money for sexual behavior and have it be ethical, whether that be porn or stripping or webcamming or escorting, or cabaret or strip teases. Consent cannot be purchased. The exchange of money for any kind of sexual practice or behavior or performance is exploitation, full stop. Full stop. So, yeah, probably talking in circles a little bit now, but I just, yeah, the hypothetical what ifs, I can't be bothered anymore with that kind of questioning because we live in reality, in patriarchy, among abusive and exploitative men. So why are we wasting time and energy on hypothetical what ifs, especially hypothetical what ifs about pornography? Come on. There's more important things to think about in this world, like the fact that women are more likely to experience poverty, especially women of color and disabled women. There's just more things that we can focus our time and energy on than could there be porn that exists that's good for women? No, there cannot. There can't. No.